Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Good evening. Probably. It is I, Dustin Wong, as Bill Hader, as Vincent Price. Reports of my firing have been greatly exaggerated. Again, I invite you to listen to a series of terrifying tales that to some may be thought as non-terrifying, barely interesting anecdotes. The most terrifying thing of all is they'd be right. These stories of spooks and scares are deplorably different than last year. On one hand, it's innovative. On the other hand, it's lazy. But on a third, decapitated, depraved hand, we lost half our writing staff this year and have to make do. So enjoy, if you can, an account of aspiring comedy writers and their abhorrent acquaintance.
And as he's looking down on his bloody, severed hand, his dark, enchanted enemy looks down upon him and leaves him with these 4 words. I am your father.
Okay, so I was right.
What?
You think I haven't seen Star Wars, Ricky? You're ripping off Star Wars.
No.
You brought me out here in the middle of the night, in the middle of the woods, to tell me Star Wars?
No, they're totally different. There might be inspiration, but I just thought of it now. The stories are totally different.
Okay. I'll humor you. What's the name of this campfire story?
The Emperor Spooks Back.
Right, and is after your first story, a new horror?
Okay, Dustin, so what's really original, huh? Is there any story that's really original at this point in time, huh?
Do I hear a debate on originality?
Holy God!
Holy shit, Liam!
Yeah, Liam, you weren't invited. I mean, how'd you even find us?
October is a very special month that allows me to expand my capabilities.
Your what?
Would you like to hear a scary story?
Well, I guess anything would be a nice change of pace after listening to 40 minutes of Star Wars.
Scare lores.
God damn it. Okay, Liam, what do you got for us?
All right. Well, this campfire story is titled Cut Short. The story begins with a young man out in the pursuit of his dreams of fame and fortune. After years of struggle, clawing his way through the cutthroat industry, he finally made it to the mountaintop. Or so he thought. But in the darkness loomed a force beyond the laws of nature known by the name of the woke mob.
Wait a minute.
And that's when his career was cut short and the poor soul was cancelled.
Okay.
So what does that even mean?
It means that the woke mob swooped in and stole their career and cast them out from society altogether.
Okay, but don't you think that maybe that could be a good thing? Like maybe if the guy did something really bad, it kind of depends on what the guy is canceled for?
Yeah, and was this person really canceled, or did 3 people tweet about them and the New York Post wrote an article about it?
Doesn't matter.
Yes, it does.
Because the scariest part is that it could happen to any one of you.
Can it? Ricky, have you checked the podcast numbers recently?
We have 7 total listeners throughout the 2022 season.
Yeah, there's nothing really to cancel if there's no one to care in the first place.
Well, what if I told you that this tale was based on a true story?
Whose story in particular?
Kevin Spacey.
Liam, what the hell?
Whoa, Liam! Do you even know what went down with that guy?
Yeah, he used to star in House of Cards, then they took him out and the show got canceled. I thought that was cancel culture that was responsible for that,
Wait,
right?
you think cancel culture is about literal canceling? Does anyone else want to explain? I'm not in the mood.
Yeah, I'll look it up. Throughout October, I can get phone reception wherever I go as well.
What does that even mean?
Oh, good Lord, that's terrible.
Oh yeah, you're watching YouTube videos?
There's more than one. Oh.
Yeah, you see one where Christmas Eve apology?
Oh, wait a minute. Does turning gay also happen when you get canceled? Or?
Nope.
Completely unrelated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this has all become very overwhelming. But I will leave you all with this. The real moral of this story is that in the digital age, there is nowhere left to hide, and the court of public opinion is always ready to cast a verdict. So you better be ready to fess up for your sins before they're inevitably hoisted to the surface. Happy Halloween!
My lungs are on fire.
This is the second time this season he's pulled some shadow shit like that.
I know, it's... Oh, God. Well, he's gone now.
Yeah. So do you want to hear the final act?
Can I guess how it ends?
Sure.
The Spook Lord is defeated and the Demise Orbiter is destroyed?
Is the plot that predictable?
No, because I've seen the fucking movies, Ricky! I've seen the fucking movies! So it's October 2022, this is The Last Minute, I'm Dustin Wong, and here's the fake news. According to the makers of the COVID vaccine, a cancer vaccine may be ready by the year 2030. Well, not if Big Cancer has anything to say about it. The Uvalde, Texas school district suspended its entire police force. The officers are being transferred to the local mall where at least they'll be used to a no-chase policy. In Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis has made voting easier in counties affected by Hurricane Ian. Only certain counties, however, Republican counties, but he didn't forget the Democratic ones. They received plenty of IOUs. Mike Itkis, a third-party candidate for Manhattan's 12th congressional district, is running on a sex-positive platform. To demonstrate his commitment to the issue, he released his own sex tape on Pornhub. I guess it's not prostitution if it's filmed, and paid for by the taxpayers. And if anyone happened to catch the name of the porn star in the video, please send that information to the Last Minute research team. You know, for research. Speaking of people who I don't want to watch having sex, Senator Ted Cruz reimbursed himself $555,000 after successfully challenging a political spending law at the Supreme Court. Cruz promises to put the money towards an important fund, aka a jar on his nightstand labeled Cancun Part 2, No Electricity Boogaloo. A federal judge found that Donald Trump lied under oath about voter fraud in Georgia while trying to overturn the 2020 election results. In case you didn't know, perjury is a federal crime that could put someone or anyone in jail for 5 years. If a regular person were to commit the same laundry list of crimes that Trump has, they'd be in Gitmo.
Well, you probably would.
Ricky, do you honestly believe that you wouldn't go to jail just because you're white?
No, I would. But I'd be released early for good behavior.
Okay.
A classic Hamilton get out of jail free card, baby. Woo! We're out here.
President Biden and the National Archives are being sued for postponing the release of the JFK assassination records. On an unrelated note, Biden has also just sold his 1961 Lincoln Continental 4-door convertible. If you know, you know. The Biden administration has also released their blueprint for an artificial intelligence Bill of Rights. Now this, to be clear, is in regards to protecting citizens from artificial intelligence, and not how I first interpreted the news, which was giving robots civil rights. That's not even a joke. I just genuinely thought that's what this timeline is going to. Oh boy. Moving on from that, President Biden is planning on pardoning all prior federal offenses of simple marijuana possession. Just another piece of legislation Joe has puff passed. Germany has also announced plans to legalize marijuana, and they will create the most efficient marijuana in the world! Liz Truss will resign as Britain's Prime Minister. The announcement was made after Truss announced that she's a fighter and not a quitter. At least she can say she served under more monarchs than any other Prime Minister in the past 70 years. On a side note, in a few years, the trivia question who was Prime Minister when the Queen died is gonna be tough. In the world of business, the CEO of a software company called Canopy revealed it recently fired 2 engineers for having second full-time jobs. The CEO warns that people like that are part of a new trend. The trend, of course, being that Americans can't afford to live. Look, if you want to prevent this from happening, here's a solution. Pay them more? However, there are some people with too much money, like Elon Musk, who on the first day of owning Twitter, fired both the CEO and the CFO because who needs those to run a company? Musk went on to say that comedy is now allowed on Twitter. I guess I didn't know how funny the N-word was. I mean, we all saw him on SNL. Does he know what comedy is? And finally, the other big tech company currently on fire is Meta, whose value dropped $700 billion. And I know that sounds like a lot. It might be difficult to comprehend or grasp the numerical value of 700 billion. It's a big number. So allow me to help explain. Imagine a banana. Just an average, ordinary, yellow banana. Imagine one in your hand, how it feels, how much it weighs. Now imagine 10 bananas. You know, a little more than like a bunch, definitely more than 2. And how much that weight increases, how much that feels. And now imagine 700 billion bananas. You know, like a lot of fucking bananas. And which is way more than you could possibly even imagine just seeing in front of you. And not to make this George very curious. So you get it. We'll be right back after this.
He's alive! He's alive!
I'm Wilfred Brimley, and I'd like to talk to you about diabetes.
Ah, you're still here. A glutton for despair you must be. Allow me to serve another helping of horror with our program's frightening feature. A true story of 15 floors of fear that'll be sure to elevate your heart rate. Narrated by our own master of macabre, L.P. Foley.
This tale begins in the most innocuous of places, a space one would hardly think something spooky could possibly happen. A simple apartment building elevator. It was a quiet Thursday morning, quieter than usual. Not a soul stalked the halls of this living building in these tender morning hours, nor did the normal lively sounds of tenants in their homes warm the hallways. I creeped out of my apartment at 6:25 a.m., already late for work. I made my way to the elevators, as I was wont to do, scurrying through this twisted maze of empty, featureless halls. Finally, I stood before the silvery sheen of the elevator doors. Hastily, I pressed one of the call buttons and waited for it to arrive. I do not recall how long I stood there. Perhaps it was a minute, perhaps a day. It may even have been a minute and a half. But eventually, the door peeled open, and I decanted myself inside. I pressed the button that would send me to the garage. A ring of malevolent red light shone around the button to the floor which I had selected, burning its way into my retinas as the elevator creaked and whined its way back to life. I could feel my body plunging downwards with the infernal machine, perverting gravity itself as we both approached our subterranean destination. However, mere moments before the elevator would normally announce its arrival at the garage floor, there came a loud noise. Above me, there was a sharp screech, followed by a loud and textured crash. The whole elevator jerked to a stop, throwing me off the balance and sending me careening into the tight, shadowy corners of my enclosure. I sat there, shaking and alone, waiting for the elevator to spring to life once again. I was now trapped in this stainless steel prison, with no sign of escape, no hope for rescue save one final resort. I could not bring myself to press that emergency call button, late as I was to work already, for the mere thought of having to speak to a living stranger shook me to my core. The minutes ticked by, and the air grew even more stale with each breath I took. The silence had swallowed me whole, and I could not bear it any longer. I stood, my knees shaking, my breath ragged, and I slowly placed my finger on that emergency call button. After the soft mechanical click of said button echoed throughout the empty space, there came a silence, even thicker, even more oppressive than the one that preceded it, but this devouring pause only lasted but a moment before a horrible scratching sound blared from the elevator speaker. I took a step back, shocked, and uncovered my ears as the white noise grew louder. For a moment, I thought I heard hints, mere notes of a human voice underneath. I could not bring myself to listen to what cursed words were beneath all that eldritch noise, and so I cowered back into my corner, wailing with fright and anguish as I curled into a pathetic little ball. Still more time passed, and I began to grow frantic. Possessed with fear, I began to lash out. The static still roared in my ears, growing ever louder with each moment as I slammed both hands against every single button I could see. I was desperate, but none would heed my demands. The elevator remained still, and I remained trapped. Dissatisfied with the unresponsive buttons, I began laying my hands on every surface I could see. I knew I could not beat the steel walls into submission, but if only they would budge and allow me to slip out of this nefarious contraption. Finally, I lashed out at the door. If anything would move this damned machine, it would be the only intended exit. I prepared to push this weighty portal with all my weight, but was surprised to find that it actually opened quite easily, and I stepped it right out and drove to work.
Okay, that was really good. I do have some notes, though. So the first thing is that I didn't really find anything you said scary.
That was supposed to be scary.
But I did think the entire, door thing freaks me out.
Yeah, the thought that I can just open the door whenever I want, even when it's running, does not fill me with much confidence.
I think it's like that for like safety reasons, like for the exact situation I was in,
Well, I wish it wasn't.
Yeah, I wish you were actually still stuck in that elevator.
I know, pretty spooky, right? So, anyways, do you want to hear about the time I died and went to hell?
No,
we're good.
We're gonna
We're
stop
good,
there.
actually,
I think
yeah.
we're just gonna deal with it. We're gonna roll what we have.
I mean, we're basically out of time for the day, and me and Ricky have reservations at a restaurant for two.
Yeah, they only have tables of 2, and we're not going to ask if they have.
It'd be
any others.
rude.
Yeah.
Bye. So Liz Truss almost tied with William Henry Harrison for shortest term in office, and apparently thou shalt not covet a second income? But in other news, actor Mark Hamill sent 500 drones to aid Ukraine. However, they were politely sent back with a note reading, "These are not the drones we're looking for." The state of Alaska had to cancel its snow crab season after 1 billion crabs disappeared. And before you ask, yes, the governor has already checked behind his ear. Scientists have discovered a new set of blood groups, which come as a big concern to the Crips. There have been reports of iPhone 14s constantly calling 911 on roller coasters, yet no one thought to respond. I was stuck on that thing for 4 hours! It was fun, but still, it was long. With other new models coming out, more than 5 billion mobile phones will become waste this year, also marking the 5 billionth way our species has destroyed the planet. Gen Zers are also looking to cancel the thumbs up emoji, declaring it to be hostile. This is news I give a thumbs down to, which is somehow less hostile. In sports, NBA star Zion Williamson said that 80% of players are into anime, they just won't admit it, while the other 20% won't admit that they watch hentai. James Corden was banned from a New York restaurant after mistreating the staff. The Late Late Show host responded by saying, "I'll have you know, I am James Corden, a certified gold-tier elite reviewer on Yelp." Not even going to attempt a British accent there. Joking aside, he did threaten them with a bad Yelp review, and not that I condone his actions, but James, you have a nightly TV show with thousands of viewers. Just saying. Soon after, a former staffer of the Conan O'Brien show said Conan once fired someone for being rude at a restaurant. But unfortunately, it wasn't James Corden. Speaking of performers who should have been fired years ago, Ezra Miller pled not guilty to felony burglary charges. If convicted, Miller could face 26 years in prison. Guys, I think we need to talk about Kevin. Again. Starting next year, Netflix will begin charging fees for accounts in more than one household in an attempt to end password sharing. I feel a great disturbance in the force, as if millions of voices cried out in terror and were suddenly asking for their friend's HBO Max password. Wow, yeah, 2 Star Wars references in one episode. Not like we're desperately campaigning to also be owned by Disney. Wink. With the rise of AI music generators, record labels see this as a threat to the music industry. And I get that a lot of music nowadays is considered formulaic, but this is ridiculous! The K-pop group BTS will return in 2025 after band members break to perform their required Korean military service. And I'm looking forward to their next album titled BTSD. More discouraging music news as Coachella's parent company made a major donation to the Republican Attorneys General Association, an organization pushing an anti-abortion agenda. So get ready for next year's Coachella headlined by Kanye West, Ted Nugent, and Kid Rock. Speaking of Ye, before Elon Musk bought Twitter, Kanye was banned from the platform after an anti-Semitic tirade. His actions also led to him being dropped by his talent agency and the Forbes billionaire list. Kanye then showed up unannounced at Skechers' headquarters where he was promptly escorted out by executives. Or in other words, he was shooed away.
Is that it? Is that all you're going to say about that? Nothing about the anti-Semitic comments or what he said about George Floyd, about buying Harder?
We get it? Shoot away? Because Skechers make shoes.
You know Elon put him back on Twitter, right? There's no time for him to put back Trump anyway. And he's also just dropped by Adidas. That's kind of a big deal.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? Adidas?
Yeah.
So, you mean he was shoot away?
I think we're done with that segment. I think that's a good wrap for that. I'm gonna cut it.
Oh no! Did I shoo you away? And now a message from our sponsors. Oh, did you expect Ryan Phelps? No, it is I, Dustin Wong, as Bill Hader, as Vincent Price for one more time. This episode is brought to you by Bed Sheets, saving Halloween costumes since 1939. And also, the This Is My Costume t-shirt, because not trying is cool, right? And finally, people who paint pumpkins instead of carving them. Can't wait to see what it looks like at night. Oh no! Didn't think that one through, did you? And now, back to our program. Well, that's the way it is, folks. But remember, curiosity killed the cat. Those bastards have 9 lives, so there's some wiggle room. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. The Last Minute with Dustin Wong, a 20-something Studios production. Hosted by me, Dustin Wong. Featuring Liam Foley and Ricky Hamilton. Written by Dustin Wong, Liam Foley, and Ricky Hamilton. Cover art by Joey Bashand. And a special thanks to Axum Creative. Rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts and contact us at thelastminute.dw@gmail.com.